Alright, boom is here. Minus 5 degrees this morning. I think it's 0 now. But we got the boom, and it took us a couple tries to figure out where we wanted to set it up, where it'd work best. I haven't actually set it up at this spot, but I think this is going to be the easiest and safest spot to be able to bring materials up and be out of everybody's way while we're working on other stuff. So, time to get it all set up. Alright, I'm going to try it out on this height. Oh yeah, this is going to be perfect right here. Can you hear me, Carlan?
What's that?
Said this is going to be perfect right here.
Oh, great.
Yep.
For these last few rafters, the ones that are part of the overhang, we need to make some cutouts called lookouts, and so that's what I'm measuring for right now. We need to make 3 across the top of each of the rafters, and then a 2x6 will be laid across each of those and attached. And it provides some connection to the main part of the cabin, the other rafters, but also provides a place to attach the OSB and the metal roofing.
I'll be hanging on to it so it doesn't move. Yep.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to start lifting.
Okay.
Hold on a second.
Okay.
Hold on a second. How is it right there?
That's good.
Up higher.
I'm going to need to be on the other side of this.
Okay.
I think I got one,
Now put
maybe.
your screw in there.
Okay.
Okay, now if you screw that in with the bracket on there, it'll get
I didn't.
stuck.
No, the bracket,
Okay.
I wasn't using it.
Okay. Hold on.
Okay.
Okay, here we go.
Tilting.
Yep.
Okay. Okay.
Those all look good. All right.
Okay.
You sank it a little bit too?
Uh-huh.
All right. Okay, watch it down below.
Okay. Feels so good to have the rafters done. Feels really good. Yeah. Those were a beast. I knew they would be. And they lived up to their, or my imagination. Their existence in my imagination. Whoa.
Certainly a lot easier with a lift.
Oh my gosh, this thing is amazing. It's crazy.
Saving my body.
Yeah. Ah, yeah. It's great.
So getting a little bit of a later start today. Started out -7. That's not why we're starting late though. Starting late because we're having some heater problems. Not in our trailer thankfully, but in our shed where we keep our food and our power bank and all of that. So we just switched over to our propane heater in there. That's temporary. I think what I'm going to do, I have another diesel heater on the way, but I think what I'm going to do is also supplement with electric since I have that power bank in there and we can run the generator to charge it up from time to time. But anyway, the goal today is to finish up the framework within the roof system. So we have collar ties that got to be put in. In addition to that, we got to do our lookouts, and then we're going to run our fascia and barge board. And the reason we're trying to get all this done is so hopefully tomorrow we can start putting decking on the roof. So that's the goal, get this done, and then move this thing to the back side, cut out the lookouts over there, get those in, and then move it to the side for tomorrow, one side, and start sheathing. And hopefully we can get it on before we have to take this piece of equipment back. This thing's a little frozen this morning. Carlan, because it's so cold, these batteries are struggling. When you could pop down whenever, you don't have to right this moment, but whenever you pop down, would you hit turn on the generator for me?
Oh, okay, yeah.
I don't think I charged it enough. Might be the easiest is make your marks down on both sides,
Yeah.
and then if you can't find that little level as soon as I'm done, which will be just a second here, you can take this level.
The other side.
Okay. Your driver?
Yeah.
Hold on a second. Don't walk into it. Okay. Put a screw in myself real quick.
Okay.
Yeah, good, that's good. Put it sit right on top of that board if it's easier for you. Okay. So you just gotta hold it. Let it slide.
We thought there wasn't going to be any snow today. to not be able to put screws in your mouth. At these temperatures, no, don't do it.
Up just a little bit.
Okay.
So you cannot see the top.
I can see this other board.
Well, make it flush with the bottom then. You can feel the bottom.
Yeah.
So when it's flush, there you go. Screw it in.
Hang on.
Here in Alaska today. It's -3. Today we finished up our gable ends yesterday, the frameworks, and so today we are sheathing the roof. That means we got to move the boom, which means we got to have the tractor. So in order to get the tractor running, because it's so cold, you don't want to cold crank it. And even when you use the glow plug and let it go for like 40 seconds to 60 seconds, it's still slow to start. It doesn't sound right. We could have this parked in the garage, heating it up in there, but we're using the garage for another space. So just tarping it, putting a blast furnace under it, warms it up enough, warms up the hydraulics and all of that, so things are moving around and functioning, and you don't get that cold crank, which is super hard on your engine. So anyway, shut the furnace off.
Yeah, and how long have you had this running out here?
About an hour. Yeah.
Okay. And you've had the heater block turned on.
The heater block is on, but that's not enough. I've
Yeah.
noticed even on those days where it's like 15 degrees or whatever. It's still, those 15-degree days, it's still crazy and slow. Starts right up. Happy tractor. Before you do any hard running or anything, you let it set and warm up for about 20 minutes when it's this cold. Anything less, you start running out hard, you're gonna work the motor. Yeah.
Our diesel heater is still kicking away down here. We've learned that we need to refill it about once every 12 hours, the diesel inside. So while Thomas is doing the sheeting of the roof, I'm going to be in here working on doing blocking cutouts in all the places where the plywood is coming together, the OSB on the outside. So like this gap right here, this gap, some of it we already have pieced together, and definitely underneath the loft we did before we put on that second floor. So that way we have something to nail our siding to. When spring comes, which is when I imagine we'll probably be doing the siding, the actual siding.
Thank you.
I'm also adding some blocking on this wall where we have a lot of windows. There's 2 4x4 windows and then a big French door, so a lot of glass. And even though it does take away some R value adding in these bits of wood, it's important we think for structural integrity, just to make sure that this wall is really solid amidst all the glass.
Thomas is checking to see if the boom will actually reach the top of the house. He was thinking that icicles on the eyelashes. He was thinking that he would just nail some strips up there for him to walk on, but it's so steep and slippery. We might end up renting the boom for another week in order to just use it entirely for the roof.
Totally do it.
Okay.
So then, just like this, we want to rent it for another week.
Right. It sounds like it's the safer option.
Definitely safer, but what's the weather going to be like this week?
Yeah. Snow, a little bit of snow tomorrow. And then Thursday, there's supposed to be a good bunch of snow. But it was also supposed to snow last night.
Yeah, 1 to 3 inches last night.
And it didn't, so weather forecast's not totally reliable. Beats having to take another trip into Palmer unnecessarily right now. I did not expect to hear birds singing at 3 degrees.
This one's gonna be a little more trickier than
No kidding. Whew.
next time I need to bring a screwdriver up here.
Oh yeah.
It'll help me wiggle them around a little bit.
Uh-huh.
Oops. Oh, no. Oh, no. That's lame. Now I gotta pull that out. Okay, had that not fallen out, that'd have been perfect almost. These are called H-clips, and if you had 16-foot wide rafters, they're not really necessary, but because these are 16 on center, 16-inch rafters rather, it wouldn't be necessary, but because it's 24 on center, they add a little more strength between these wider gaps, but also, and more importantly, they give you your eighth of an inch. They give you your eighth of an inch gap on your sheeting, which is important to allow for movement. Let's see if I can do this without messing it up. Get in there. There we go. And
Well, it's a little bit warmer today. It's about 13 degrees out, and it's amazing what a difference that makes. Ice has been accumulating on our RV windows on the inside, and now it's pretty much all melted, even though it's still 20 below freezing. So it's interesting. 13 is warm. So anyway, yeah, we are continuing on the second half of the roof. Started a little bit yesterday. We rented the boom for a second week, which is going to be huge. It's already been so helpful. And he's hoping to finish the sheeting of the second side of the roof today. And then he's going to get started framing up the upper story walls. And then with the help of the boom, siding those walls, because that also is going to be really tricky without the boom. So, yeah, and then we'll get the black weatherproofing paper, the vapor barrier on the roof. That's probably where we'll get to before spring. We'll do the metal roofing in the spring, so.
Another beautiful day in Alaska. It's kind of warmed up lately, so I think we're into the double digits at least now. I think this morning it's 12 degrees. I'm supposed to get up to 20 maybe. I don't know if it's going to do that, but anything above zero is good. You can see we pretty much have the roof sheath. We got one row left to go. I think this has been about 4 days I've been working on the roof now. Boom, it's a little bit slow, but it's definitely better than just being up there with and doing rope work and all of that with all the snow that we've had. And obviously it's not a lot of snow, but it's enough to make it slippery up there. And so this has made it certainly much safer, thankfully. I'm actually looking like I'm going to have some time left over after I get done sheeting the roof to use the boom for some other things. So we're hoping to maybe even get the membrane on the roof, and then we'll feel pretty good about things. And then we can close off both the front and back second floor walls. And so hopefully within the next week, we will have all of that done. We'll have maybe within a week or two, have it sheathed and wrapped, and then we can start insulating and move the wood stove in. And yeah, we're getting there. It's feeling pretty good, and we've really lucked out on the weather, thankfully. But yeah, so a couple things though that have been challenges in putting the roof on. First of all, one of the things I don't like about the design is the 1 foot eave overhangs. So we have a 6 foot overhang on the front, and then there's a 1 foot eave on there, and that 1 foot eave is on both ends, and ultimately what it does is it causes the layout of the sheathing to be really weird. And so instead of having that 4 foot gap or 4 foot difference between the sheets, it's like a 2 foot difference, which is structurally not as good. And so I obviously don't like that. Also, instead of like, so that normally on a roof layout, you'd have like a 4 foot piece of sheeting on one end, and then you'd lay all the way 8 footers after that. And then on the next side, you start with an 8 footer and end with a 4 footer. And what that does is it creates like basically middle joint, or the joints in the middle, versus now where we have joints that are only 2 foot overlap instead of a 4 foot overlap. And so that structurally is not as sound. It's not something that's going to cause the building to fall down or anything like that, certainly. And I made sure to nail it pretty heavily on the eave ends, just to give it a little more strength, since I don't have that full 8 foot pieces. Instead, what I have are 5 foot and 7 foot pieces on the ends and 8 foot in the middle. The other thing that's been kind of frustrating about this cabin kit build was the ridge beam. The ridge beam wasn't marked that it had a front or a back, and so the layout on it was kind of wonky. And so we were definitely careful when we were laying the rafters to make sure that we were getting 24 on center on both the top and the bottom of the rafters. And thankfully we paid mind to do that, because had we not, we would have had some serious trouble. We would have had rafters bumped and tilted one way all the way to the walls. And we, even despite that, still had some issues. There was a couple of rafters that like just, you know, just kind of move as you're laying sheeting. So I did have to throw in a couple of nailers on rafters where there was more than, or less than like 3/8 of an inch of the sheeting on those rafters. So you might see that in some of the future videos where you'll see some 2x4s that look like they're randomly nailed to the rafters. And that was just I believe in 2 or 3 rafters that we had to do that. And it was just in a couple of spots. Otherwise the layout has gone really smoothly. And it's just definitely awesome to see that, because it's really starting to look like a home now. And so, yeah, the next move is just finishing that off, getting the roof membrane on, closing up those walls, and then once there, we're dried in basically. So, yeah, time to finish this roof up and get that membrane on. Looks like I need to tap it over a little. Am I missing my board here? There we go.
Now I'm going to fold up this plastic and put it out of the cabin once and for all. That felt really good. Just one more panel. Yeah. We have a roof.
You do.
It's got a few gaps. I can see some daylight. Way less daylight than before.